Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Who should replace Jose Mourinho as Manchester United manager when and if it ever happens? The show I've never wanted to do, and don't anybody ever say that the United Stand isn't your channel again. You voted for it. We're gonna do it. I've researched it, I've looked at it for you, and you are going to interact on it. And even better than that, on That's Football, after this, we've got a live Skype show so that you can call in and have your say as well. But I'm Mourinho in. I don't want Mourinho to go, but I accept that there are percentages, there are people who want him to go, there are people who will be thinking about who's going to come in after him anyway. So from an interest point of view, as things stand now, who should be Jose Mourinho's manager? Next manager at Manchester United, sorry. How are we going to work this? There's 10 candidates, there's a top 10. I was a little bit late with the live show because David Moyes and Brendan Rodgers were knocking on my door trying to get their CV in. Hot water, they've gone. But in all seriousness, there are 10 candidates. I've marked each candidate at 10 out of 10. You, as we go along, can give me your thoughts. But I want to just say this. I'm hoping that at the end of this show, some people who want Jose Mourinho out of Manchester United we might actually get to a point where you appreciate what we've got and you want him to stay. Stranger things have happened. Or will it be, as we work through these people together, people like myself start to think maybe the grass is greener on the other side? Let's wait and see. But what I would say before I start off, if I was to say to you who are the 3 best managers in world football at the moment, for me, Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Zinedine Zidane. I think they're the 3 best in the world. Pep because of what he's doing and what he has done. Zidane because of what he's doing. Mourinho because mainly because of what he has done, but only a year ago he won the Europa League and the League Cup. So I think they're the 3 best on paper managers in the world. Now, whether one of those is on the wane, whether one of them's had a checkbook, whether one of them just inherited a fantastic Real Madrid team, you know, it's up there for debate. But at the moment, I think they are the 3 best on paper managers in the world. And one of them, Jose Mourinho, is Manchester United manager. Anyway, let's have a look. I want Jose Mourinho to reapply for his own position, says a moniker. And when does the United jacket giveaway get done, says Carl Plashak. It is coming up, don't worry, I've not forgotten about that. No, Giggs is such a stale personality. So lots of people, Pochettino, Tuchel, Class of 92, Allegri, Ancelotti, Zidane, loads and loads of names. I'm going to start off with a quote. This quote I think is absolutely fantastic, and it's from Ancelotti, and it says, "If you're organised, even an ordinary player can do very well. But when you get to the final third, everything changes. That's where you need creativity and freedom, because without it, you only have sterile possession against a well-organised defence." I read that tonight. I'd never heard that quote before, and I thought, you know what? He's describing Manchester United's problem at the moment. An organised team can make an ordinary player look good, but they get exposed when you get to the final third if you haven't got freedom and creativity, because your attack will be sterile against a well-organised defence. And I think that's what's happened to United. We've got players who look good in a well-organised team up until the final third when we become sterile. I.e., look at your people like Fellaini. Looks okay in the midfield for United when it's well-organised. You get in the final third and it falls along. That's a quote from Ancelotti. I'm going to start off with Carlo Ancelotti as a potential Manchester United manager. Now, I've got notes, so there's no way I could memorise all of this, ages, win percentages and everything. So Carlo Ancelotti, this was the man I wanted to be Manchester United manager when we wanted to get rid of Van Gaal around that Christmas time, before he decided to go somewhere else. He went to Bayern Munich, didn't he? He's 58, so age isn't on his side. Not particularly good with youth. His youth record is not very good, Ancelotti, and obviously at Manchester United that's something that's really, really important to us. His career win percentage, some of these win percentages we're going to mention are in relation to the clubs that they've been at recently, but across his career, 58.9% win percentage, which is very good. I think Sir Alex Ferguson's was around 62. So he's played for a lot, he's managed a lot of different clubs, Ancelotti. Premier League proven as well. Chelsea manager, did very well there. Real Madrid, he's won 2 Champions Leagues, I think. Real Madrid and AC Milan. I think he's actually won more than 2, but he's won it with 2 different clubs. Highly decorated player and manager. And his playing style is, for an Italian, Serie A background, is quite pragmatic. Not as pragmatic as Mourinho, but he's quite adaptable. He's played a lot of formations in his life. His teams have been entertaining, but when they need to defend, they can do. And that quote from him sort of sums him up. Yeah, you can be well organised in the first 2/3 of phases of play, but in the final third, you need that freedom and creativity, which most of his teams have always had. Ancelotti, for me, out of 10, as Manchester United manager, I would say 8 out of 10. The things that make him not a 9 for me, I think he's managed a lot of clubs in his career. And has he got that hunger now at 58? I mean, I said last night, didn't I, that Mourinho, after Porto, coming to United, would have been brilliant. Hungry, aggressive. Little bit later in their career, do you lose that? So 8 out of 10 for Ancelotti for me. Would I take Ferguson for one final season just to win us the league, says Anhil S. That's a question I think many of us would probably answer. Let's try and stick to the manager we're talking about. A lot of people going off with other names. They will be mentioned in the top 10. I can see a lot of the names that have been mentioned and they're all going to get their moment. But Ancelotti, 8 out of 10 for me and a decent candidate. The next one I want to talk about is Thomas Tuchel, Borussia Dortmund manager up until a year ago. Very, very good advocate of youth, attacking football. A lot of people talk about him as a potential Manchester United manager. I'll tell you straight away, he's 44, 50% win ratage, win rate, 50% win rate. But I've marked him as a 5 out of 10 as a candidate for Manchester United manager because what has he ever done? Yeah, he likes youth and he likes attacking football, but Dortmund, he did well at Dortmund, but Manchester United, I'm sorry if you like Tuchel, I apologise on this, but we're Manchester United. I think some people are like, oh, get rid of Mourinho, let's get Tuchel, let's get this player, let's get this manager, and you're not thinking about the enormity of Manchester United. It's not just come in and, oh, let's play a bit of youth, let's do this, let's do that, oh, that looks good, oh, shut that door. It's not, it's Manchester United. There's immediate demands from the fans, from the board, their expectations, and I think this job would just swallow Tuchel up. So 5 out of 10 for me. Only managed in Germany, not managed for a year. Let him go to Arsenal. I just don't see him as a Manchester United manager. Move on. Class of 92. Class of 92. Let's bring Class of 92 in. Now, Class of 92, I can tell you now, Ancelotti 8 out of 10, Tuchel 5 out of 10. I'm going to go with Class of 92 a 7 out of 10. So, not as good as Ancelotti, obviously, because he's won things. Class of 92, no Manchester United like the back of the hand. Now, Class of 92, I'm sort of assuming that it would be one manager or maybe dual manager, assistant manager, maybe 2 or 3 of them. So you're talking one of the Nevilles, 2 of the Nevilles, Scholes, Butts, Giggs maybe, some sort of combination of those. I think they all pretty much tick the same box. None of them have got any decent managerial experience behind them. Didn't go well for Neville at Valencia. The other Neville's managing the women's English team. Giggsy's now at Wales. But they know the club like the back of the hand, like literally like the back of their hand. They know what the club's all about. They live, breathe and die Manchester United, and maybe that's a step, for me that's the fantasy. Them as manager of Manchester United is the fantasy. But I live in reality, and at the moment, no. In the future, I don't know. I don't know. But 7 out of 10 simply because they know what the club's all about. But we don't know anything about what they're all about. So you could say, give it Roy Keane. The aggression's there. But no, I could not put them anywhere near Ancelotti at 8 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I'd be intrigued and excited if they became Manchester United managers, 1 or 2 of them. But realistically, big risk. And Damien Hosty says Gary Neville would be great on the backroom staff. Kino says a couple of people. Ancelotti is miles better than Pep, says my auto Jen. And again, people are mentioning other names that we're going to speak about in a minute. Definitely Pochettino, says... who said that? Who says that? Hussein Mohamed Yaqub. Well, let's move on to Pochettino. I can tell you now, Pochettino is 46, 55.5% win ratage at Spurs, which isn't bad, really. Obviously, he's an advocate of youth and attacking football and Premier League proven as well. We all know what he's done. He's done he did a good job at Southampton. He's done a very good job at Spurs. He's made them, for me, one of the better teams over the last 2 or 3 years in the Premier League. But the big thing about Pochettino is, where's the trophies? Where are the trophies? The season Leicester won it, I think Spurs were the better team. The season Chelsea won it last year, I think Spurs were the better team. They were long points behind in the end. This season, I think at times, they've been one of the best teams in Europe. Where's the trophies? The big trophies. And that's the big question mark, not only about Spurs, but Pochettino. For all that he does with youth, for all that he does about organising in his team and making them attacking and entertaining to watch, for all of that, how could you trust him with a job like Manchester United? What makes you think that he wouldn't come to Manchester United, we'd play decent football, but we'd finish 3rd or 4th, and every time we went and played teams like Man City, he'd have his pants pulled down like he does most times every season? They are the bridesmaids, not the bride. That's Spurs, and to be honest, that's Pochettino at the moment. And until he wins the big prizes, for me, He's the same as the class United too. He's a 7 out of 10. I like Pochettino. I do like him. And if Manchester United at some point in the future, and that's where I'm thinking, I'm not thinking about now anyway, I'm thinking Mourinho's here for at least another year, hopefully 2-3 years. Maybe in that time Pochettino goes and wins something and you go, yes. I think Pochettino's got to win something to take the Manchester United job for me, because that's the big concern. We've had Moyes, we've had Van Gaal, we've got Mourinho. If none of those, well, two of them never will win a title for United. If Mourinho never wins a title, you can really jump into bed with Pochettino, who's never won anything, and go, that's right. You know, we'll be touching 10 years without a Premier League title then. Do we really want to gamble on somebody who's got no winning pedigree? So 7 out of 10 for Pochettino for me. Patrick Anderson says, give Pochettino the United money and I can almost guarantee you that he will win as the Premier League. Maybe you're right, maybe you're right. Moyes got given a chance, so Poch should be given a chance at United, says St. Columbo. But that's what I'm coming at. When Moyes was given the chance, we were Premier League winners months before. If Pochettino was given the job now, it's 6-7 years ago, and that becomes 10 years. Like Moyes missed a massive opportunity for Manchester United to actually give it to somebody. You know, I would have considered, what was Pochettino doing in 2013? Was he even at Southampton then? But, you know, I would have liked him to have got the job then, or Ryan Giggs to have got the job then, because we had a bit of breathing space. We had Sir Alex Ferguson, your Premier League winners. Does it matter if you don't win the title for the next couple of years? No, it's a bit of an experimental stage. But we're not at that stage now. We're not at that stage. So 7 out of 10 for Pochettino. Simeone, Diego Simeone, he has to be worth a mention. He has to be worth a mention. He's 47. He's got a 62% win rate, most of it at Atletico Madrid. He's won the Liga, he's won Europa League, he's been a losing finalist in the Champions League twice. He's a very experienced manager, but he's also very defensive, Simeone. But when you look at what he's done, granted it's all in the Liga, he's won big prizes in a league that is massively weighted against him. Real Madrid and Barcelona, massive clubs compared to Atletico Madrid, massive spending budgets compared to Atletico Madrid. He's been in there, disrupted the status quo, won the title, been to the final twice and been unlucky in the Champions League. You could almost say comparable. It's not far off what Sir Alex Ferguson did at Aberdeen all those years ago by breaking the Celtic Rangers thing. Simeone, for me, has to be an 8 out of 10. He's got to be higher than Pochettino. He's won the big prizes. He's got to be level with Ancelotti because they've won the big prizes in football. So, Simeone, I've got to mark him out 8 out of 10. Would I want him as Manchester United manager? No, I bloody wouldn't. If you watch them play, it is very pragmatic. I mean, I think to be fair, his attack side of things is quite dynamic and fast, but it's still very, very structured and well organised, and hints of Mourinho, really. Do you want that sort of manager? I think, if we'd never had Mourinho, then maybe Simeone would be an option, but you can't go from Mourinho to Simeone. That, for me, is a big no, but you can't ignore the fact that actually his career is very, very good, and what he's achieved against Barcelona and Real Madrid is very impressive. Rupin's made a contribution. Whack him low, anything to get him if Mourinho goes, only if. Well, whack him low may well be considered in this top 10, because we're only at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Simeone at 5, another 8 out of 10 for me, up there with Ancelotti. Leonardo Jardim from Monaco manager. Somebody just said something here. Love Ananuna says, Mark, so far you've given higher ratings to conservative managers. But no, look, I'm going to look at this pragmatically. There's no point in me saying, I'm going to give Jardim from Monaco 10 out of 10. I'll tell you why I'm not going to give him 10 out of 10. But I have to give Simeone and Ancelotti 8 out of 10. Look, you've got. This is what I'm trying to say. This is Manchester United. Manchester United, not Arsenal, not Liverpool, not Stoke. We're Manchester United. We must remember who we are, what we've been, and what we should be. And bloody saying Thomas Tuchel as our manager, may as well give it me. You may as well give it me. Simeone, Ancelotti, they've got to be the two best candidates we've discussed so far. Their pedigree is there across Europe. Absolutely fantastic. Do I want either of them? Have I said that? No, I wouldn't want Simeone anywhere near Manchester United. But you've got to mark him higher than the class of 92, Pochettino, Tuchel, because of what he's achieved in a very, very difficult league for someone like Atletico Madrid. Anyway, Jardim at Monaco. Last season, fantastic. Really, really good side. Very attacking. Obviously promotes the youth. This season, not so good, but lost a lot of players. Mbappe, Bakayoko, Fabinho's backpack. But yeah, not so good this season. But Jardim, very young. I think he's only about... not going into Scouser tonight. Jardim, where's his name? Monaco manager. 43. 56.8% win rate. But very good side. Youth setup. But small club in a pub league. Monaco are a small club. They've got hardly any fans. They're a small club. They're a rich club. They're a small club. They play in a pub league. They did very well in Champions League last year. But for me, Jardim, again, I've marked him slightly better than Tuchel because of what he's achieved. 6 out of 10. But no, you can't give someone like that the Manchester United job. From France to bloody Manchester United, and all he's done is manage Monaco. No, not for me. Definitely not for me. But I can only mark him 6 because what has he ever done? What has he ever done? Jardim does not register, says A Monaco, 3 out of 10. And Luis Enrique, whack him low. Lineker, Bobby. Mark, you keep on saying we are Manchester United. We're Manchester United. Mourinho just said Sevilla are better than this. So who are Manchester United? Hey, am I talking about Mourinho tonight? Am I talking about Mourinho tonight? You've got your show about who should be the next manager after Jose Mourinho. Of course I want Mourinho to stay, but have I said anything about him? You know, all I'm saying is that some of these recommendations for our next manager, I don't think take into account what we are. You know, you're going to give it Thomas Tuchel or bloody Jardim from Monaco. Bloody hell. You know what? The tea ladies, she can probably do a little bit as well. So 6 out of 10 for Jardim. I'd catch him out. Now, Allegri from Juventus. 50 years of age. 71% win rate at Juventus, which actually is very good. It's that. I mean, I think that's the best win rate out of anybody. You'd say that's probably, you know, it's a bit like Brendan Rodgers' win rate at Celtics, probably 110%. You can't do that, but you know what I mean. It's going to be very high, but and Juventus obviously are the best team in Italy. However, it is a very competitive league at times, Serie A. So 71% is still very good. And you know, like I say, Sir Alex Ferguson's was only in the early 60s, and Manchester United did dominate for years and years and years. So 71% win rate is very, very impressive, and that includes the European games as well. 50 years of age. Very, very, very adaptable manager. Plays a numerous amounts of formations. He's very calm when you read up about him and you see him on the touchline. But if you read about what players say about him, like Pirlo, very calm, very trusting in the players. Very, very adaptable. Likes to play different formations. And obviously very experienced in Italian football. He's won titles there. I think he's lost 2 Champions League finals. Very, very, very good pedigree. But, and there's a big but here, I would give him 8 out of 10. I would give Allegri 8 out of 10 simply because, a bit like Simeone, he has a very good pedigree in not only his domestic league but in Europe as well. And you look at what he did to Pochettino's Spurs a couple of weeks ago. If you watch both those legs, no doubt for me that Spurs over the 2 legs should have put Juventus, an ageing Juventus, to bed. And they didn't. Juventus hung in that tie, and for 20 minutes at Wembley, they just went up 2 gears and whacked Spurs. When I think Allegri and Juventus just were waiting for a period in the 2 legs where Spurs switched off. They switched off, 2 quick goals, shut up shop, 2-1 there in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And, you know, Allegri is a very, very good coach, but very Italian. And is an Italian coach who's never managed anywhere else right to come to Manchester United, regardless of what his pedigree is. So I'll give him 8 out of 10, but I don't think he would be right for Manchester United. I think it would be too much of a risk to take somebody who's only ever really managed in Italy, but obviously a big club in Juventus, but to take that into the Premier League, 1, he's got to adapt to the Premier League, 2, he's got to adapt that he's managing somewhere he's never managed before. I think it would be too big a risk. Richie CR says, what are your thoughts on Capello and Del Bosque? Capello, don't even talk to me. I would cry if Capello was given the Manchester United job. I would literally cry on this show. Glenn Hoddle. I used to like Glenn Hoddle, to be fair. I did used to like Glenn Hoddle. And Johnny Dubb says Frank de Boer in. That would destroy Mourinho, wouldn't it? Right, the next one, Joachim Low. A few of you mentioned Joachim Low. 58, so age is not on his side. Done great things at Germany, but very easy answer, Joachim Low. He only I don't know, why am I doing these accents at the moment? 6 out of 10. I can't give him any more than 6. And I know the person who likes Low is not going to like that, but 6 out of 10. His career before international management was mediocre at best. All he's done is international management, and he's done quite well at it. Why would I want Joachim Low to get the Manchester United job? Risk written all over it. International football, day-to-day management of someone like Manchester United, world apart. International football, flip-flops on for half the year, keep your eye on the football, and then work half the year. Manchester United, you never have a day off. And at 58, to go from that to that, no. He's just not a candidate. He's not a candidate. I'm not saying he wouldn't be successful. I don't think he would. But he cannot be a candidate. He cannot. Giggs will get it after Jose, says Darren Sweetman. Ancelotti, says Shabazz Khan. We do have an eye in the top right-hand corner where you can vote, by the way. We've got a poll for this, so we will be giving you the answers on the show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. But top corner eye, you can vote for it. Thomas Tuchel. 1963 data says Low, 6 out of 10. I give up. Absolutely stupid rating. Well, that sort of comment, I've read it for you because I think that's a stupid comment that you've made there. I've justified why Joachim Low only gets 6 out of 10. I know what his career is. He's 58 years of age. He's been managing the German international team for the last few years. Before that, 0, no big clubs, all in Germany, and I think Austria as well. Very, very good coach, all international football. Why would I want him anywhere near Manchester United, and why would I mark him any higher than 6 out of 10 when people like Simeone, Allegri and Ancelotti, with years and years of experience of success in club and European football, are getting 8 out of 10? Why would Low get anything better than 6 out of 10? The next one, I like this one. It's only through you lot getting me to do this show. I like this one. I really do. Laurent Blanc. I remember him being mentioned before, and I was like, get out. No way. Don't let Laurent Blanc anywhere near Manchester United. And 52 years of age, attacking style of play, loves youth, massive fan of Sir Alex Ferguson, who he played under in his latter stages at the very end of his career at Manchester United. PSG did quite well, won a couple of titles, I think. Bordeaux, what he did there, first season, fantastic. I think he won French Manager of the Year. Second season, won him the title, which they hadn't won in over a decade and have been nowhere near the top 4 ever since. What Blanc did at Bordeaux with youth and attacking player was fantastic. Went to France, didn't go great. Went to PSG, did okay, but they've got a high turnaround of manager. Very, very interesting candidate, Laurent Blanc. An outsider, definitely an outsider. In fact, I marked him 7 out of 10. I'd never really thought about him before, but he knows what Manchester United's all about because he played there. He was very impressed with Sir Alex Ferguson. He's a big advocate of youth. He likes attacking football, and he was very successful at Bordeaux. He's managed the national team, and he's managed PSG. Obviously, I can't be a hypocrite and say that it's all French related and the French league's a bit of a pub league, but he's also a top player like Ancelotti, a very top player in his playing days, and has played for numerous clubs around Europe, Barcelona as well. And that's a lot about where his identity for his football is. So I think Laurent Blanc needs to get back into football. I don't know whether I'd give him the Manchester United job now, but as an outsider, he's the one. You lot all forced me to do this show. He's the one who's impressed me the most as an outsider, more than the class of '92. I think he's a very interesting candidate that if I hadn't done this show and researched it this afternoon, I would not really have thought anything of him. But it all came flooding back, and actually when you look into his background as well, very, very interesting. Thomas Tuchel is the man, says Abdullah. No, he really isn't. Can you shout out my friend Iman, please? He wanted to have a shout out, says Hyper Hassan. There you go. Pouch with money could be interesting, says Tom. Throwing a wild card then, Carlos Queiroz, says Andre Warrell. I think he's had his day, to be honest. People are arguing about Pep. I don't, you know, Pep's not a candidate. You could never have him, but his youth record's poor when you look at it. Kwame says, give it Laurent Blanc now. You've convinced me. Call the board. Next one, Luis Enrique. I marked him 7 out of 10. 47 years of age. Won the Champions League and La Liga with Barcelona. Very similar to Zidane. Came into the job, obviously, straight away sort of thing. I think he was at Celta Vigo before. Did very, very well with a big club and big players. It's always difficult. Pep, Zidane, Enrique, you know, it's the sort of rich kid upbringing, isn't it? It's like, you know, you've got your Mourinhos of this world, your Sir Alex Fergusons of this world, your Simeones of this world, who, you know, your working class heroes, I suppose. They work up from the bottom and they succeed. And then you've got the silver spooned Pep, Zidane, and Enrique, who are just, you know, very good footballers, handed big jobs, first jobs, and never move away from those jobs. So Manchester United's a big job. Maybe Enrique could be quite good. 7 out of 10. Obviously, attacking philosophy. Could be the next Pep. He's an interesting, intriguing candidate. Apparently PSG wants him next. So yeah, he is an interesting candidate. So out of all the top 10, Thomas Tuchel got 5 out of 10. Jardim got 6 out of 10. Joachim Low got 6 out of 10. Enrique got 7 out of 10. Class of 92 got 7 out of 10. Laurent Blanc got 7 out of 10. And then Allegri, Simeone and Ancelotti got 8 out of 10. So if you were taking out of marks out of 10, the 3 best candidates are Allegri, Simeone and Ancelotti, of which I wouldn't take Allegri because it's all in Italy. Simeone's too defensive. Ancelotti doesn't really play the youth. Drop down, class of 92, gamble, but could be absolutely amazing. And Blanc, I like the look of Blanc and Enrique. So, you know, you've got your top level tier, Ancelotti, Simeone and Allegri. But I think if you move below them, the more interesting and fitting United way would be obviously class of 92, Laurent Blanc or Enrique. I think they more fit the identity of youth and attacking football than Simeone, Allegri and Ancelotti. So, you know, it just shows in life, don't always go for the obvious book, isn't it? Maybe just below those 7 out of 10s. But I do want to just say as well, please do drop a like on the video because you lot have dictated this video and it wasn't really one I wanted to do. So hopefully I've what's the word? I've done it to the standards that you wanted me to do it, and been in depth and you know, given it the professionalism that you wanted and fairness. But I am the presenter, and I do just want to say at the end, I don't want Mourinho to go. I do think Mourinho is the best candidate, and to fit in with marking everybody out of 10, I'm going to mark Mourinho out of 10. I do think when you look through those managers there, that there is nobody that should take the job now. Whether you want Pochettino, I think he's got to win trophies. Whether you want Laurent Blanc as an outsider, I think he needs to get back into management and manage away from France. Whether you want Ancelotti, is he too old? Has he managed too many clubs? Allegri, too Italian. Simeone, too defensive. Class of 92, not ready. Right now, who comes in and takes... And I've heard a lot of United fans say this. They are Mourinho out, but who is there at the moment? So they're Mourinho in. You get people like me who are just, I want Mourinho to have the 3 years. I want him to have another year. And it could be painful. It could be brilliant. Who knows? But for me, Mourinho must stay. And I think the interesting thing from this is very, very interesting. Some really interesting candidates. But come on. Are you telling me that you would get rid of Mourinho tomorrow and take one of them? It's not the right time. It's not the right time. And I think that's the message I would give out from this is, look, it wasn't really the message I expected. My message was always going to be the same, as I'll say in a minute. But it's not the time at the moment, and we've got to. And I think this is the way you know, the club, the board, millions and millions of pounds at stake here. Do you think they haven't looked at it? Do you think, you know, why do you think the message out of Manchester United is that they're happy and content with Mourinho at the moment? Because actually there is nothing out there that's going to be a surefire success. And businessmen look at surefire success. And the reality is when you look at Mourinho and you look at his career, there is success. There is success there. So maybe that's what they're looking at. But when I look at this, when I look at Jose Mourinho, mark him out of 10. Simeone, Ancelotti and Allegri, highest scores with 8. Mourinho's 9 out of 10. He's 9 out of 10. He is. He's better than those. He's won the Champions League, like Ancelotti. He's won titles, like Ancelotti, all around the place. But look at the teams he did it with. Porto, unbelievable. I know it's a long time ago, but unbelievable. And he's done it at the big clubs like Ancelotti has as well. But he's better than Ancelotti on paper. Mourinho on paper is arguably the best manager in the world, and he's certainly in the top 3, and he's certainly a 9 out of 10. So if we had no manager and I had a Mourinho in there as 11, he'd be 9 out of 10. He would. And if we'd not had this last 6 months, I think people would still go for him. So I just don't think now is not the time for me to be even discussing this. Well, we've discussed it. Now is not the time to be really seriously thinking about getting our manager, is what I want to say. Getting rid of our manager. But very, very interesting. And, you know, in a way, thanks to everybody who said to do this, because I never would have looked at some of these managers in depth like I have done. And as I said, I think Laurent Blanc's a really interesting one. I always like an outsider, and I think he just needs to get back into football. Very interesting. Been at United. The one thing about all those managers, none of them has ever had a Manchester United touch point apart from the class of '92 and Blanc. He's also played at Barcelona. He's won everything in his playing career. He's done very well with his ideology in his management career, especially at Bordeaux. He's a very interesting one. Very interesting. Would I consider Klinsmann, says Avicate? No. Blanc in, Gary Neville is his number 2, Carrick is his number 3, says John Joseph McCormack. Yeah, you know what? Something like that might work well. Jose is 9 out of 20, says Friend 2018. Haters are going to hate. Jose's not going to change, says Scott Roberts. Well, he has changed. He has changed, hasn't he? He said the last 2 days he's been trying to get us to attack. Mourinho's 10 out of 10 for me, but his style of football is dead. That's the point. He needs to understand this is Manchester United, says Zahud Dawood. Awful bias. Mourinho better than Carlo Ancelotti, says Kurt Van Basten. You know what? I think Mourinho is better than Ancelotti. That's my personal opinion. It is. Gattuso, well, you may as well get Roy Keane. They're very similar. How he doesn't play the youth, doesn't play attacking football, says Simon G19. Well said, Mark, says Svetan Sheena. How people are getting after me, it's the players who have not performed up to this. No, Mark. Ranieri, you know, outsider, I suppose. He didn't make the top 10. Paul Taylor, Jose's too defensive, don't play youth, boring, goes against fans, slates legends, constantly criticising players, arrogant. Okay, I'm not going to convince all of you, am I, anyway? Anyway, a lot of effort went into that show. I'm not feeling that great either. Napoli manager, very close to the top 10, but not quite. Yeah, interesting show to do, and obviously just shows that it is your channel, because I never would have done that video, but you know, you voted for it, you got it. The next stage is please do hit the like button, give us your comments below, click the eye in the top corner and put your vote, and we'll come out, we'll mention it tomorrow night on the show. But now it's over to you folks. I'm going over to That's Football. The link is in the video description, just under, I think it's the second paragraph. Live on That's Football now with a Skype show for you lot to call in and have your say. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Really looking forward to taking your calls. That's Football. Bjorn Lundberg says, I would love Jurgen Klinsmann. I wanted him as England manager, Bjorn. I don't know whether I would have taken him. I wouldn't take him as Manchester United manager, but England manager would have been interesting. Anyway, link in the video description. That's Football. Get over there for the call in. You can call in and have your say. If you agree with something, if you disagree, you think there's better candidates, you think it's a disgrace to say this about Mourinho, That's Football. Right now, we're going live. Thanks everyone for watching tonight. Different type of show. International break allows it. I'm Mourinho in, as I said at the start, and I'm Mourinho in now. But, you know, maybe in a year's time, there's some interesting candidates there. And interesting, like I said, the best candidates, Ancelotti, Allegro, and Simeone, all a no for me. I wouldn't cry at Ancelotti, but I think go below that. Go for the 7 out of 10s. Go for Blanc, Enrique, or the class of '92, because all three of those are on the up. You know, they're all late 40s, early 40s, on the way up, and they've got interesting ideologies. I think United need to stop going for 29-year-old players and managers who are like 58 and start doing what the club's all about again. Getting the next best manager, the up-and-coming manager. And I suppose Pochettino probably fits into that a bit as well, to be fair. I'm going over to That's Football. I'll see you there. Link in the video description. Thanks for watching. Back tomorrow, 8 o'clock as well. Might be a 1 o'clock show. I don't know. We'll see what comes up in the morning. Speak to you all soon. Oh, Red Rumours today. If you haven't watched it, the 1 o'clock show, transfer show, 20 minutes. Talking about Griezmann being snubbed, Bale, Alonso, Aaron Ramsey, Jorginho, Aldevalda. Lots of interesting stuff in that as well. Loads for you to watch. Thanks for watching. Speak to you tomorrow. Yabba dabba doo. Laurent Blanc it is then.